James, I think for our end of season awards, it's only proper that we start at the top here. Best dunk, probably the most revered award in our end of season award show.
Mm,
Over the years, in the past at least, we have had quite a few worthy nominations, multiple years in which there are more than one winner, perhaps. But as we mentioned earlier in the year, this is not necessarily a highlight heavy team this year, but still quite a few good dunks littered throughout this season with the amount of athletes that we've got on this team. The first one, which is technically
yeah.
going to have to be an honorable mention because in the scorebook, it was not a dunk. To our eyes, it was absolutely a dunk. But given the call that was made by the officials, which unfortunately I must note is correct, as we can see the video playing in the background here, Brandon Miller dunking over Daniel Gafford in a preseason game in like mid-October just absolutely posterized him. But Gafford did have his feet set outside the restricted area, so he was called correctly for a charge by the NBA rules. Did not count, but definitely got to highlight that one. James, why don't you rattle off one of our true nominees here that was correctly ruled as a dunk?
That Brandon Miller, that broke the Hornets internet for a little bit of time there when
Oh,
we
yeah.
thought that might be a dunk. So, yeah, shout out Brandon Miller for our honorable mention. First up, we're going to start soft, but it's a good one. JT Thor. You want to see it here. Steals the ball, dribbles down. He's got Paolo Banchero and Jalen Suggs trailing him. And he actually goes up and kind of dunks over around Banchero, and Suggs is challenging from behind. It's on a fast break. Fast break dunks always, I think, look cool. And normally JT Thor, like, handling the ball doesn't go so well. But this is, look, it wasn't directly like contact over anybody, but this was a sneaky good dunk when I was looking into trying to find some of the best clips of the year. What are your thoughts?
I like that one quite a bit. I think the hang and swing on the rim adds a nice little bit of flavor.
Yeah.
You don't really see that from JT. I feel like he's more of like for lack of a better term, he's more of a thunderous dunker. He just kind of punches it through the rim and lets his athleticism do the talking. But he definitely added some spice to it with that swing right there. I think he knew that that was a good dunk, and he wanted Suggs and Banchero to make sure that they knew it was a good dunk too.
Yeah, and he forced a steal too. He forced a steal. It was a 2-on-1
Yep.
fast break, and he dunked at home. So I enjoyed that one from JT Thor. Next one, over to you. Our next nominee.
So our next nominee, we're going back to Brandon Miller. He's going to be heavily featured in this episode, just as a warning here. This one is over Walker Kessler back in late January against the Utah Jazz at home too. This is a theme for Brandon Miller's dunking style. Just absolutely punches this one over Walker Kessler's outstretched arms and head. Just no chance that he had at all to stop him with the momentum that he had built after he beat Kelly Olynyk from the corner there. It was just a great drive, capped off by an even better finish. And my favorite thing about Brandon Miller is his celebrations are always very understated, but whoever he's dunking on will understand the magnitude of what he's just done, because he is going to give you a stare down like very few other players are capable of doing. And this is probably my favorite. The celebration and stare down after, this one is probably the best of the year, because he knew what he just did to a guy that is like a revered rim protector in the league, or shot blocker at least, but not
Absolutely.
blocking that one.
Walker Kessler, they don't come much better protecting the rim than Walker Kessler. And this is also Alabama and Auburn, right? If we want to think back to that rivalry, old college teams. Also, just a nasty little fake to go right to lose Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk just stands there and turns around and watches Brandon Miller drive past him. So it was a nice combination as well for Brandon to get himself free. And this is going to be right up there. This dunk is a 10 out of 10 in-game dunk. There was a heavy contest against a big. This is an exceptional dunk. If you're not watching on YouTube right now, go find us on the YouTube channel. You'll be able to see exactly the dunk that we're talking about. Our next nominee, Miles Bridges, wasn't among the award winners of last season, is now. Look at this one here. Miles Bridges jamming it on Miles Turner. We talked a lot about the low dunk rate of Miles this year. It's gone down by about half. And it's true. He was not as sprightly. There was not as many great dunks this year. There was another alley-oop where he kind of caught it over Nikola Jovic, which made our long list of best dunks. Didn't quite make the final edit here. But this is a classic. Just driving down the lane, Miles Turner's too late getting over, and Miles Bridges jams it with the right hand, as we know he likes to do.
Yeah, not heavily featured as heavily featured as he usually is, but if you had thrown this dunk into any of our nomination lists from years past, it would be in the same position probably. I mean, this was one of the rare occasions in which we kind of got a flashback to the 21-22 level of explosiveness from Miles Bridges.
Yeah. Okay, our final nominee, and a very recent nominee, and this is probably a lot of fans' favorite right here, is Brandon Miller on Bruno Fernando against Atlanta Hawks just last week towards the end of the regular season. The crossover to essentially send the defender just absolutely sliding to the side. I think it was Garrison Matthews. Was that the defender? Or was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Garrison Matthews. He fell over into Nick Richards' screen, and then Brandon Miller just yams it on Bruno Fernando again, who's coming over to help. Not as good a shot blocker as Walker Kessler, Bruno Fernando, but the losing his man who then falls over and then exploding late in the season. This is again similar territory, I think, in terms of quality. It's another 10 out of 10. This is scoring 50 in any dunk contest.
100% agreed. This, like, starting it by shaking Garrison Matthews in that way, the hard drive right down the middle of the lane, and again, absolutely just punches it over Bruno Fernando's head. Athleticism, aggressiveness, fantastic call from Eric Collins too, by the way. He goes, "What just happened? Brandon Miller just happened." Just incredible combination of the play itself and the call. This one would be tough to top in really any year, but especially this year.
Yeah. Okay, so those are our 5 nominees. Chase, please let me know who is receiving your final vote for winner for Dunk of the Year.
I'm going to have to go with Brandon Miller over Bruno Fernando. He snuck in a late submission. I think it was only like 5 days ago or so that he threw down that dunk against the Hawks. But that is quite an exclamation point to round out your season right there. So I'm going to have to go with that one. He's such a ferocious dunker for a guy that's not like a super strong or physical player. It's really impressive, like the aggressiveness and how confident he is going up to the rim against guys like Walker Kessler, Bruno Fernando. He just plays with absolutely zero fear, and I think it shows up in dunks like this one.
The funny thing is like if he's not dunking all over someone, like he doesn't really try to dunk it at all. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's like he kind of makes his mind up on the way to the rim, and when he wants to, he can. But I don't mind that. You know, a lot of players can get hurt when they go and try and dunk on people, and maybe he's just being smart. My vote is actually going to go on the Walker Kessler dunk, just because Walker Kessler is a huge human being and an elite rim protector. And I thought that the move to lose Olynyk was probably just as nice as this one. It's just Olynyk didn't like fall down afterwards, which is because he ran into Nick Richards. So you're going for Brandon Miller on Bruno Fernando. I'm going for Brandon Miller on Walker Kessler. One thing for sure is that Brandon Miller is the winner of Dunk of the Year, no matter which one we pick.
Absolutely. Brandon Miller, your Dunks of the Year awards are coming in the mail.